We will continue with the molecular basis of inheritance, and now in this module we will read about the packaging of DNA, central dogma of replication, experiments to prove that DNA is the genetic material, and experiments to show the semi-conservative nature of DNA. So, first of all, packaging of DNA in prokaryotes. The prokaryotes do not have a definite nucleus, and the DNA is not scattered throughout the cell. So you know that the DNA is present inside the nucleus. The DNA length in the human genome is 2.2 meters because the base pairs are about 3 billions. The gap between each base pair is 3.4 angstrom. So the length calculated becomes 2.2 meters. Now, a scientist, that is Woodcock, he showed that there are repeated thickenings in the chromatin fibers. One such thickening is called nucleosomes. Now this DNA is not scattered throughout the cell, it is written here, and it is held together with some proteins in a region called nucleoid. So this, or you can say nucleosome. The DNA in the nucleoid is organized in large loops held by proteins. Now I will show you this here. You can see in this picture, there are 4 round balls. These 4 balls are the histone proteins. There are 8 histone proteins, and the term nucleosome was given by Odeb. Now, packaging of DNA in the eukaryotes. In the eukaryotes, DNA is stabilized with positively charged basic proteins called the histones. So these are the histone proteins. They are positively charged, and the DNA which contains the nucleic acids, okay, this DNA which are the nucleic acids, they are negatively charged. So due to its rich basic amino acids like lysines and arginines, histones are organized to form a unit of 8 molecules, and these histone 8 molecules form the octamer. Now you see here, we can see here these 4 histone proteins are there up, and these 4 histone proteins are below. Now this constitute one nucleosome. This histone proteins, 8 histone proteins. This red colored, you can see a rope-like structure which winds, that is the DNA. Okay, so this DNA is wound around the histone proteins in 2 circles. First round and then the second round. The first round is complete, but the second round is a 3/4. So we say that it is 1 3/4 round it takes, and it forms one nucleosome. These two include to form the nucleosome. So what is a nucleosome? It has histone proteins. Histone proteins are rich in lysine and arginine, as I told you. Then the DNA is negatively charged and histone protein is positively charged. There are 4 histone proteins. The first one here, this is H2A. This one is H2B. This one is H3. The back one is H3, and then the last one here, this is H4. Similarly here also H2A, H2B, H3 and H4. So they make the histone octamer, or you can say, yeah, octamer. Then the DNA which is wound around this histone protein, this part of DNA is called the core DNA, and the part of the DNA which lies in between one nucleosome and the other nucleosome, that part of the DNA is called the linker DNA. The proteins are present in the center, and the DNA is wrapped around it twice. So the DNA part that lies between, then the H1 protein act like a pole. There is one more protein, you can see here the green colored protein. Here, this is the green colored protein. This one is called the H1 protein. It acts like a pole around which this, which has like a support for this nucleosome not to move about. Now, the packaging of DNA is in the form of, this is a nucleosome. So this was the structure of the nucleosome, and these nucleosomes then negatively charged. The nucleosomes are seen as bead on string structure under electron microscope. You can see here these nucleosomes and this H1 protein. Nucleosomes form the repeating units of structure in the nucleus called chromatin. So they form the chromatin, and then they wind up together, and the chromatin is packed to form the chromatin fibers. They are further coiled and condensed at metaphase stage to form the chromosomes. So you can see that then we will talk about the various experiments to prove that DNA is a genetic material. So first of all, the Griffiths experiment. The Frederick Griffith conducted experiments to show the transforming principle in bacteria. He conducted an experiment on mice and pneumonia bacteria, Streptococcus pneumoniae. These bacteria are found in two strains, virulent and non-virulent. The virulent strains are smooth strains and the non-virulent ones are the rough strains. The S strain bacteria produce capsule and is pathogenic. So that smooth strain is called S strain. It was pathogenic, and the rough strain, which was non-virulent, did not have a capsule and it was non-pathogenic. That means it did not cause pneumonia to the bacteria. Pneumonia to the mice. So this was the first. This experiment was done in 1928 by Frederick Griffith. That was this Streptococcus pneumoniae. It caused a specific type of pneumonia in the mice. This bacteria is in two forms, and one is the rough variety and another one is the smooth variety. The smooth variety had a capsule and the rough variety did not have any capsule. They also occur in various strains. Then the smooth variety is virulent. Then Griffith chose the smooth variety and the rough variety. Smooth variety which he chose was S3 and rough variety which he chose was R2. Now they were injected. First of all, when the rough variety was, that non-virulent strain was injected into the bacteria, into the mouse lived. When the smooth variety was injected, the mouse died. When the heat-killed smooth variety was injected, then the mouse lived, because now the smooth strain was killed. As such, the mouse could not, mouse got the bacteria, but they were heat-killed, so obviously they died. Okay, the smooth strain died, and so the mouse lived. Now come to the what happened. Now both the rough strain, non-virulent, and heat-killed smooth strain, both of them were the situation when the mouse lived. When these two strains were mixed and it was injected into the mouse, in the fourth case, on his astonishment, he saw that the mouse died. So it is not possible that in the smooth strain, that the smooth strain got the smooth strain bacteria, they got alive and they caused the mouse to die, because we have already killed them. So it was that something in rough strain made the mouse to made the smooth strain to something in the rough strain was there, which made the smooth strain material to again replicate. So when the R strains are injected into the mouse, it is a non-pathogenic. When the S strains are injected, when the heat-killed S strain and R strain are mixed and injected, that caused pneumonia and mouse died. The conclusion was that R strain bacteria had been transformed by the heat-killed S strain bacteria. So the rough strain bacteria were transformed by heat-killed S strain bacteria. That means the dead S strain bacteria changed the R strain bacteria. The transformation of the R strain to the S strain was due to the transfer of genetic material, and something S strain bacteria got transmitted into the R strain. So this much was his experiment, but it did not give any further conclusion, or he did nothing more further. Then what happened? Oswald Avery and Colin McLeod, after so many years, and Maclean McCarthy in 1933-34 worked to determine this nature. They continued the experiment, transforming principle of Griffith's experiment. This experiment of Griffith is called transforming principle because it is a main experiment which helped us to know that some genetic material is present in this world, so which is getting transmitted from parent to offspring. So they purified biomolecules. What did they do? They purified the biomolecules, the proteins, the DNA and RNA from the heat-killed S strain. So they took out proteins, DNA and RNA, and they added digestive enzymes of each. Now proteins were digested by proteases, DNA by DNase, and RNA by RNase. So to see which one would transform the R cells, what he did, he killed S strain bacteria plus protease enzymes plus live S strain. Now what he added to them? In one test tube he added protease enzyme, and then then he saw that the R strain was transmitted to S strain and the mouse died. So then again what he did, he added RNase. In the second test tube he added RNase to the heat-killed strain and the live strain or rough strain. So what he did, again the mouse died. Then what he did, he added DNase to the live strain bacteria and unable, but what happened? The mouse did not die. Now the mouse did not die, the mouse lived. So they were unable to transform the R strain to S strain. These 3 experiments he conducted, and what their conclusion was that protein of the heat-killed S strain is not the genetic material. Even the RNA is not the genetic material. DNA, which was killed by DNAs, was the genetic material, because DNA digested with DNAs mixed with the R strain was unable to transform the R strain to S strain. So I hope you understood this experiment, but all the biologists were not convinced. So I explained you 2 experiments. Now the third one, what happened, which made us clear that yes, DNA is a genetic material. So it was proved by Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase in 1952. They worked on the virus that infected bacteria, and these bacteria were called the bacteriophage. Now what is the structure of the bacteriophage? This one is a protein capsule. It has a sheet, and below is the tail fibers. And inside this protein capsule, only a coiled DNA is there. There is nothing else in this bacteriophage virus, only protein and DNA. Now during infection, the bacteriophage first attacks the bacteria. How does it infect the bacteria? It attaches the bacteria with the help of its tail fibers. Now what it does, it injects its DNA material into the bacteria, and this DNA, black colored DNA, gets injected into the bacteria, and the DNA, it transforms the bacteria to work according to its genetic material, according to what it likes. So proteins are now getting made according to the genetic material which is getting transferred from the virus. The viral genetic material became the part of the bacterial genome. It manufactures more virus particles. So Hershey and Chase, what did they do? Their experiment, they grew some virus on the medium having radioactive phosphorus, some other on the medium having radioactive sulfur. So he grew 2 types of bacteria, and one were subjected to radioactive phosphorus medium, another one were to the radioactive sulfur medium. The viruses grown in the radioactive phosphorus have radioactive DNA, but they did not have radioactive proteins, because phosphorus is present in DNA and not in protein. Similarly, the radioactive sulfur, it is found in protein, hence the protein change into radioactive. So then this is the experiment what they did. Protein codes are radioactively labeled. Phages infect the bacteria with genetic material, and this is how infection is done. And then the genetic material is non-radioactive, enters the cell. This is non-radioactive, which is sulfur coated, which is found in sulfur medium, and the radioactive enters the cell, which is radioactive, it means it is the phosphorus. Now what the conclusion they made? The radioactive phages were allowed to infect the E. coli bacteria. The viral coats were separated from the bacteria by blender, and then they were mixed. When they mixed that, the viral was the protein coat was disseminated, and what was left inside was the DNA. The observation was that the viruses that had radioactive DNA were radioactive. No radioactivity was in the supernatant. Bacteria infected with virus that had radioactive protein were not radioactive, but radioactivity was found in the supernatant. So conclusion was that the DNA is an infecting agent and DNA is a genetic material. Here it was confirmed. Now talking about the replication of DNA. DNA replication means it is a process by which the DNA produces the exact copies of the original DNA. In eukaryotes, that means the DNA will come, both the strands of DNA will produce their own copies. In eukaryotes, DNA is a double-stranded. The two-stranded strands are complementary to each other. That means one is from 3' to 5', another one is from 5' to 3'. So, and each other because of their base sequence. Now talking about what is semi-conservative method of DNA replication. It means that it is the most common method, and it takes place in the nucleus, where DNA replication takes place in the S phase, and deoxyribonucleotides needs for formation of new DNA are present in the nucleoplasm. At this time of replication, each strand, the old parent strand, act as a template, and around this parent strand, these 2 parent strands will open, and then a new template will be formed. So 2 DNA are formed from that single DNA, with one of the strand being the old one and the other one being the new one. This is called semi-conservative. That means it is not totally old, but it is half new and half old. So this is called semi-conservative nature of DNA. We will talk about this experiment and DNA replication in the next part of our video. Thank you.